What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mixed Marvel Arts, your go-to channel for MMA videos and comic reviews. In this video, we'll be reviewing issue number 7 of The Amazing Spider-Man. Last issue we saw the origin of the Lizard, and the epic first encounter between Spider-Man and the Lizard in Florida. This issue is back in New York, and it features the return of the Vulture. He's going to give Spider-Man a much tougher fight this time around. It's even more entertaining than the first time they met. So let's get into it. The issue starts with a recap of the events from Amazing Spider-Man number 2. This was the last time Spider-Man fought the Vulture, where he developed an anti-magnetic inverter to remove the Vulture's flying ability. We find out that the Vulture has been a model prisoner since his defeat, but he's really been building a new flying device in the prison's machine shop. He uses it to escape from prison, and when Peter hears about this, he pretends he's sick so that he can go home from school. Flash makes fun of him for being soft and unable to handle any excitement, but Peter knows it's more important to go after the Vulture than to worry about Flash. He brings his anti-magnetic inverter along with him, anticipating being able to defeat the Vulture with the same trick that he used last time. While Spider-Man searches for his foe, Vulture evades the police and robs a jewelry store. When Spider-Man finally tracks the Vulture, he prepares for an easy victory by using his anti-magnetic device again. The Vulture even pretends it worked by intentionally falling after Spider-Man uses his device. But the Vulture has improved his flying technology, and it was all a trap, of course. He flies back up and hits a vulnerable Spider-Man right in the face. With the element of surprise, the Vulture manages to beat Spider-Man, who shoots a web as his last resort to save himself. But it misses, and Spider-Man lands hard on a rooftop. The Vulture makes a mistake by assuming Spidey is dead, and he flies away. Meanwhile, Spider-Man manages to regain consciousness, although his arm is pretty banged up. Then, just as he gets home, Aunt May enters Peter's room, but he hides on the ceiling and sneaks back in the front door after changing. He tells Aunt May that he injured his arm playing volleyball. They go to the doctor, and Peter gets a sling for what turns out to be a sprained arm. Then Peter's classmates make fun of him at school the next day, most notably Flash and Liz Allen. At the same time, the Vulture sets out to rob the Daily Bugle by stealing their employee paychecks. At work, Betty doesn't believe that Peter sprained his arm playing volleyball, so he sarcastically tells her he injured it fighting the Vulture. Of course she doesn't believe this, and it's a pretty great moment in the issue. Then the Vulture flies in and points his gun at Jameson. As Peter sneaks by to change into Spider-Man, Jameson argues with the Vulture, and it's pretty funny. He'll do anything to protect his money, and the Vulture actually engages in this conversation with him. Then Spider-Man enters the room to save Jameson and prevent the Vulture from robbing the Daily Bugle. Betty Brant frantically hides behind a desk, and this is where the action really picks up. And we'll get back to Betty in a little bit. But Spider-Man and the Vulture get into an all-out brawl inside the walls of the Daily Bugle, and it's pretty awesome. But once Spider-Man gets a hold of the Vulture's back, Spidey gets slammed to the ceiling, directly on his injured arm. Then he chases the Vulture outside, who catches Spider-Man by surprise yet again and carries him high above the city. But just before the Vulture drops Spider-Man, he webs up the Vulture's wings, effectively preventing him from being able to fly. The dialogue between Spider-Man and the Vulture as they fall to the ground is just awesome, as the Vulture is petrified and Spider-Man continues making light of the whole situation. Then to finish off his outing as Spider-Man, Peter webs up Jameson's mouth to stop him from blaming Spider-Man for everything that took place inside the Daily Bugle offices. After that, he changes back to his regular clothes and spots Betty still hiding behind the desk. He sits next to her and says he was hiding in a closet during the whole thing, which makes Betty like him even more. She thinks he's just honest enough to admit when he's really afraid, although she does suspect that Peter is keeping something secret from everyone, and Peter says he might have to tell her about it someday. They share this romantic moment together, and that's where the issue ends. I thought it was incredible from start to finish. The character development out of Peter was awesome to see, as he's becoming much more confident and Betty is really starting to like him. Plus, the fight between Spider-Man and the Vulture was one of the best we've seen in this series so far. So I'm going to rate this issue a perfect 10 out of 10. What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments what you thought of Peter's character development, and whether you think Betty will ever find out Peter's secret. And let me know if you agree with giving this issue a 10 out of 10 rating. But if you want to hear from me more often, then follow the link in the description to my Twitter page and follow me on there. And if you want to see more comic reviews, then as always, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you guys next time.